Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We're on number 23. And so in the booklet, we're on page 36. This is intuition. So intuition isn't just like feeling guided by something or, you have an inkling about something or a little message. It has to do with learning. It has to do with problem solving. It has to do with innovating. It has to do with healing. It has to do with us processing, releasing, letting go. Like when we have old events or traumas that we're trying to let go of, how we let go of that is intuition. Intellect, it might be able to let go of something, but it will leave claw marks all over it, right? Because that's not what intellect does. So when we let go of something, when we process through something, when we have a realization, all of this is intuition. It's the ability to break out of the box, to break out of the cage, to break out of repetition, right? To have something new happening. How many times do we do the same thing over and over again, hoping for a different outcome, but following the same process or the same steps that we have done for so many times? And I would take it a step further. We were kind of talking about this a little bit on the weekend, where from the point of view of intellect, again, it's repetition, it's maintenance, it's always dealing with things from the past. It's past experiences and things that it's learned through indirect experience, right? Indirect, you read it in a book, somebody tells you, you're doing it based on opinion, you're doing it because this is what society thinks, or there's peer pressure to act or behave a particular way. When it comes to healing from the point of view of intellect is we feel that we need to make something happen. We need to stimulate something. A lot of times we want to go through and do a technique. And even though we might just be going through the motions, we still expect some sort of outcome to resolve our issue without us having to make any shift or change internally. This is not holistic in nature. This is not holistic at all. The ability to shift, to adapt, to grow, this is all tied to intuition. And intuition, we experience these different aspects of ourselves, or even if it's an external situation, we have direct experience. It's not something from a book. It's not even something from the past. It's in the right here, the right now. And, as time goes by, it's not so much that we learn from the experience, but it's almost like there's this place that we can go to make something happen. Like if you're needing to heal, there's the normal everyday heal. Like, this coming up weekend, we're going to be talking about a really deep dive on vagal tone, deeper than we've ever done. Lots of areas to focus on vagal tone to accelerate the healing. But, we think of healing as being just this thing that happens or this thing that we need to stimulate. But there's a deeper healing potential. There's everyday normal maintenance, right? It's homeostasis in the body. But there's times where maybe we get really injured or we get really sick or something serious is happening. And, from the point of view of intellect, we feel that we need to stimulate some sort of healing. But really, it's more like a summoning. I'm going to summon that ability to heal. Like I've touched it, I've cultivated it. I know it. Like I know where it resides. I'm going to go to that place inside and experience or call upon that healing. The intellectual mind doesn't do that. The intellectual mind just tries to do a technique. And really, the intellectual mind in homeostasis doesn't want anything to change. It just wants it to be like stabilized. And, sometimes there's a time and a place for that. But when we're talking about deep healing, it is not an intellectual process. It is not a process associated with homeostasis. So this is tied to helping one access deeper levels of intuition. Even with that, a lot of times we think about it from the point of view, if I stimulate intuition, it does everything that I need it to do. It doesn't work that way. You have to keep cultivating it. You have to keep having these deeper experiences. You have to keep interacting with it. You have to keep going deeper and deeper into that and having those experiences. So this is a piece. This helps, but it's not the end all, but it's helpful, you know. So with that, in your kit for number 23, intuition, the blend is clairvoyance. So let's go ahead and have you pull out the clairvoyance blend. Okay, so you are inhaling on the left side of your body, left side of your face and neck, your left shoulder and ribs, your left hip, the outer leg, and the outer left ankle, the whole left side. Nice, long, slow, deep breaths. And taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths. The front side of your body, your face and throat, your chest, your abdomen, all the way down the fronts of the legs to the tops of your feet. Nice, long, slow, deep breath. The right side of your body, the whole right side. Right side of your face and neck, your right shoulder, right hip, all the way down to the right outer ankle. And then the back side of the body, the whole back side, back of the head and neck, your whole back, your hips, down the backs of your legs to your heels. And then pause and be still. Just be still for a moment. Okay, so that was the standard approach. You can do that daily. You could do it with other protocols or processes. You could also do it as an Auric stack, right? But now we're going to go into the deeper approach, the advanced approach. And this is something that you might only do once or twice a week. That way, you give your energy body time to acclimate and assimilate. And so you're using the same oil. You're beginning with inhaling on the left side of your body. You're working the left quadrant, left side of your face and neck, your left shoulder, your ribs, your hip, all the way down to the left outer ankle. Now move your awareness to the back side, the back of the head and neck, your whole back, your hips, down the backs of the legs, all the way down to the heels. The right side of the body, the whole right side. Right side of your face and neck, your right shoulder, ribs, your right hip, down the outer leg to the right outer ankle. And then the front side of the body, the whole front side, face and throat, chest, abdomen, down the fronts of your legs to the tops of your feet. And then pause and be still. You're just being still. Begin inhaling. Your awareness is on the knees. Your awareness is on the knees. You're doing nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Your awareness is on your ankles. Your awareness is on the angles. Move your awareness to the soles of your feet. The soles of the feet. Just let go. Just this one. Going again for the four quadrants, left side of your body. So the left side of your face and neck, your left shoulder and ribs, your left hip, all the way down to the left outer ankle. the front side of your body, your face and throat, your chest, the abdomen, all the way down to the tops of your feet. The whole front side, from your face all the way down to the tops of your feet. The right side of your body, the whole right side. Whole right side of the body, right side of the face, all the way down to the outer ankle. backside, the whole backside of the body, back of the head, all the way down the back, the backs of the legs, to the heels. You're just being still. Last little piece. Your awareness is on the brain. Your awareness is on the brain. You're taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Move your awareness to the spine. The brain and spine both at the same time. Your awareness is on the brain and the soles of the feet, both at the same time. You're doing nice, long, slow, deep breaths. As you inhale, move your awareness up above the ankles. As you exhale, move your awareness down into the earth. Just pause and be still. Notice how you feel, your body, your emotions, your thoughts. How does that feel for you?
Was sleepy.
Yeah, you got tired. Yeah. You know, for you to be able to have deeper levels of intuition, the body has to relax more. You have to go into deeper vagal tone. You know, the mind has to relax, especially the intellect has to relax. So sometimes you might do this and you feel a little tired, a little sleepy afterwards. It's because you're calming down the adrenal drive and the tension and the sympathetic nervous system dominant, action and activity. And so, anyway, let's go ahead and do shares and questions. We'll do the Auric programming for just a little tiny bit, and then after that, we'll go into normal Q&A. So let's go ahead and unmute ourselves, type in, fire away.
I'll start. So I was, there's certain art programs I get real excited about. This was one of them. And I was surprised how when we did the standard approach, it didn't affect me that hard right off the bat. But as soon as we started the advanced and did the reverse, that's when I started to be like,
Mm.
yeah, like, okay, now we're getting into business. So that was, I mean, it happens with some of the different art programs, but it was so like clear when we did this one. It was kind of funny.
Nice.
And for those of you who have not had a chance to be on Zoom in a few days, Zoom did change how they're doing the chat. So if you haven't had a chance, there is a little button that is blue and it kind of looks like a piece of paper with a pen, white outline. You click on that, it's a new chat, and you can click to plant prana oils or to Apothecary Geek, and you can type in your chat message that way. And so it's just a little different how Zoom has things set up now. And go ahead, Denise.
Hey, hey.
Thank you very much for that. I wanted to know what the oils were in this, the clairvoyance. Glenn,
I'll have to look
please.
that up. Yeah. It's actually kind of an old formula. So I could pretend to say like I have the recent ones in my head. I do not. It is cistus, marjoram, Egyptian geranium, alemmy, myrrh, clary sage, and galangal.
What was the last one? I'm sorry.
Galangal.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The more we sit with this, the more spacey I'm getting. It's like the art program just keeps like working. I'm like, ooh, okay. We'll focus. Well, it looks like everyone's a little quieter this week.
Okay.
So that will complete our Auric programming week 23 here. And then we will go do 24 next week, which is going to be Kundalini. So you'll want your Kundalini oil handy for the live practice next week. And I think that'll do it.
Yep.
And that will go into our regular Q&A. Go ahead, Barbara, start us out, then Lolly.
Hey, hey.
And you don't need me. Yeah, there you go. Perfect.
Hey there. So I have a question about, of all the practices and oils we've worked with, what would you suggest for wanting to focus on lucid dreaming?
Lucid dreaming for you.
Well, I've been thinking about it, but someone else also inquired. So maybe for someone that hasn't been working with the oils a long time and someone who has.
Okay. Yeah, for that, I would say it's a case by case basis. That's why I was like for you, because like if somebody hasn't been doing all this other stuff, you know, we'd have to get them caught up a little bit, or at least in a direction that could start producing a little something for them. Um,
Did that this other person is talks about having trouble quieting the monkey mind so that she feels like she can be tapped into her
For
higher
that
state of
person,
consciousness while she sleeps. Yeah.
yeah, for that person, I would do work with like the working on limbic function,
Hmm.
splendor, vital centers. There's the whole class that's the vital centers, but splendor is helpful. Um, but also, vetiver improves the vagal tone of the limbic system.
Right.
And so, I would do that a bit as well. Um,
And how would you suggest she use these?
Inhalation, like, is she a meditator or like what's her background?
Trying to be definitely a seeker.
Okay. Has she been doing much practice though?
Meditation practice? I'm
Any
not,
sort of practices? Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I would
I,
say some, but I don't know to what extent.
I'd probably start off with the materialization breath, because that for somebody who hasn't been doing the deeper dives and all that, it calms down the system, it throws off conditioning, the elementals, it materializes light into the body and the things that they're connected with in the environment, and it helps to align, well, like I think a better way of saying it instead of aligning is you're refining the aspects of will that are being associated with being closer to spiritual will.
Mhm.
The the thing is like even when somebody is we do our practices and we sleep and everything. I mean, part of the issue is where are they with their will when they're sleeping? Like you could be doing the same. I'm not saying that this is this person. I'm just using this as an example. But you
Mhm.
could be going through and doing a bunch of healing work on somebody, and things that kind of consistently produce a result. But if they have the will of that they're not going to do that, they're going to do something different, or they're aligned with something in their head, as much as you go up against that, it doesn't really shift or change anything. And so,
I think she's pretty willing to explore this.
okay. Well, so that like the next thing I was going to say is it's not necessarily the will that they choose. It's usually a byproduct of conditioning and like all
Mhm.
these things. And so, I mean, for myself, um, I go through phases where I do the materialization breath, and there's deeper practices than the materialization breath, but I still go back and revisit it because of how it refines the will.
Okay.
And so I would say that would be a good starting point. I don't know if it's going to totally get them to the lucid dreaming, but I'd do that for a little bit, like maybe 3 weeks or a month of just doing practices where, if they have oils, that would be great. Even if they don't have oils, I would do that. And it's going to make accessing the lucid dreaming aspects of intuition much easier. And because a lot of times the different things in with will are reactions to pain, reactions to difficulty, reactions to like fear and anxiety. It's not necessarily that they go, "Oh, I'm going to choose to be difficult," or you know what I mean? Like I don't know, sometimes I wonder if I don't choose that. But um it's usually like that really hurt. A lot of times you can boil it down. It might not be physical pain, but it's some sort of emotional pain, mental pain, the
Mhm.
pain of lack, something didn't happen.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of versions of it. And that's the thing, it's doing spiritual practices, we're in a little bit of a predicament because as you become more aware, for one, your field gets bigger, but you become more aware of, a lot of times people aren't intentionally trying to be hurtful, but they're just walking around being hurtful. And you just become more aware of it. And, how do you get to a place where you don't personalize it, you don't take it on that it's something directed specifically at you, even though sometimes it feels that way. Um, I think it's good to do the materialization breath from time to time just to kind of keep all of that like ugh. I will say that a lot of the work with the nervous system, a lot of work with how we did the cultivating the mystical heart. Boy,
Mhm.
that's e-ticket ride in deep into the psyche, deep into the psyche. So I mean, how we do with things with vagal tone, we do things with angels. Angels are a much deeper way of achieving vagal tone in the body. Um, uh, and then all of that system, that nervous system work. And then, even like what we did last weekend with the planetary energies, like we did different aspects of the moon. Um, Very potent, and one that we're going to come around and talk about it again, but the alchemical processes of the directions.
I'm waiting for that to come
Um,
around again.
yeah, there's a lot more going on there than I talked about. A lot. And you know, we're
Yeah,
getting
I think
ready to travel and everything, and I have my little oil kits, but I have a special little kit that's the alchemical directions. And there's a couple little kits that I like. They're in my shoulder bag. They're not even in my suitcase. Like they're in, like, if I have time in the car, or for flying or something like that. um yeah, and go through and do that. And so eventually there's these other things that I, there might be this piece that I just put out to you guys and maybe not even have it be a class. I don't know how many people would be into it, but it's all the little um, defense mechanisms of the intellect. And there's a bunch.
who
There's,
wouldn't want to look at that?
yeah, yeah. I will say, like, the more that I've worked it different ways through the years, even with healing, with oils, with plants, with stones. And the way that I'm working it now, it's pretty nice. I'm really liking the how quickly it produces a result. But it's just, I say it's like these like defenses, or how sometimes I say the intellect is like is very good at impersonating something. There's a whole like little list of impersonations that it does. And so, like, just to start clicking them off. And I will say, like, it makes the sleep deeper. It takes a weird tension out of your body, out of your mind, that you don't even know that's there. It's probably more in the mind than anything. So, on paper we say defenses, but really it's these kinds of tension in the intellect that doesn't allow the mind to relax. And so the more you keep working those things, the more the different parts of the mind relax. and it's able to shift and do other things. And so I'm just using single oils with them. It's not even like it's all a bunch of different blends and things. It's just single oils, and it's a particular pattern. But you know I don't know how interested people would be, so I do them, but you know
Thank you for this. I'll
yeah,
just jot
it's
something
it's
down
it's a
for her. I know
weird.
there's a lot of emotional trauma in her past.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we all got it.
Yeah,
But I
I
mean, we
think
all
she had
have.
a good dose of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And so for,
And so like the materialization breath kind of helps clean things up. But then like the deeper dive, I'd probably go, like, if it sounds like she's already been kind of doing things, I would probably go into the nervous system with the cultivating the mystic heart, so where you go into the autonomic and the somatic and the enteric. And it's nice just to kind of get everything like in a particular place. And as for you though, hmm, do you remember that class? It's the class right after the Auric programming where it's all the Jungian stuff. What's that called?
The divine, was it one of the ARC program
Yeah,
ones, right?
yeah, yeah.
So
It's like it had paradox and mind stream, and
was it ARC? Um,
it's like healing with intuition or something. Or
ARC waves the functions of the aura. What's it? It's the
Intuition and healing the past.
intuition and healing the past. Yes, thank you, Lolly. Um,
yes, that's one of
okay, so take the oils from that class and let's write this down.
Right.
Like I write this down. So you know how we do the five senses, right?
Mhm.
And then sometimes we go through and we do the organs of blood purification. You're going to do them together, right? So like you do your eyes and your liver both at the same time.
Okay.
And then, okay, so you go eyes and then nostrils and lungs both at the same time.
That sounds cool.
Yeah. What's that?
no, that's fine.
And then tongue and spleen both at the same time. And then ears and kidneys at the same time. And then the face and the gallbladder
Hmm.
at the same time.
So do that with a particular, any of those
I,
oils?
I, I would work your way through like all the different oils
Okay.
in that, but at first, the very first one I'd probably do is paradox.
Okay.
Paradox and then mind stream maybe second. And then after that, you know, just whichever one's gonna grab you. So after you do that, do your brain, like let everything go, let it sit for a minute, and then awareness on your brain. And then from there, move your awareness to your back throat.
Okay.
So, like with that, you're breaking up like some of the pattern and the tension in the intellect, and you're breaking up the tension and pattern in the emotional body.
Hmm.
So,
Because of the
both
combination.
and a lot of our mind is not just, there's instinct in there, but there's emotion and there's thought. And so like here you're kind of focusing on the the thought, the mental energy, and then the emotional component. Um, if you want to add a little something to it, is you can take those same oils after you've done the senses and the organs of blood purification, and then do the basic, and then the spleen, and then the main men, and then the crown.
Okay.
And you would do that before or after the brain back throat?
I would do it after.
Okay.
And how often? Once a week? Once or
Oh
twice
no,
a
you
week?
could do it multiple times. Like you could do it daily. You might want to just work
Maybe not
one
all the way.
oil for a while, or you might want to rotate through them, like however you want to do it. But yeah,
Okay. Thank you so much.
yeah, you're so welcome. Let me know how that goes. But that should open up the intuition in a way. Because the thing with the lucid dreaming is there's the dreaming part where you see like action and activity, but I would say there's an even more subtle thing that happens, and I would call it like lucid perceiving.
Hmm.
It's not like you're seeing scenarios, but you're seeing these very subtle, I wouldn't even call them patterns. I'd call them phenomena. Like you can just like see these like little subtleties that are not in our daily everyday life, but there are things that are there that are very quiet and subtle, and in that lucid place is where you would be able to perceive them. Like my experience is, unless I'm quiet and isolated, I can't really perceive them during the day. I can only really perceive them at night. Like
Hmm.
things have to be like a lot quieter to see them. You
When
might
you,
be awake, you might be asleep, but you'll start seeing like mm,
are you talking seeing as a perception or seeing as some kind of visual phenomena?
it's more of a perception. And it's like one of those
Okay.
things where you wake up and you go, what was that? And like you know how we do that practice where we sit and observe it in the body, and then you wait for the expansion, you're waiting for the shift. Like when you start to have that lucid perceiving, you wake up and you go, oh, like I see something, what was that? And then you sit with it and it will begin to like blossom and open up to you. But if you use your intellect, it's like swiping, what is it, swiping left or right when it's a no?
I have no idea.
Yeah. like on whatever apps, like, you're swiping and like, nope, next, next, next. You really have to be able to sit with it for a minute for it to like open up.
Okay.
Because like even dreaming, it's like, we go, oh, like, I dreamt about this situation or that situation or this scenario. But if you start watching like as you dream, there's different times you go to different places. And even though the scenario might play out different, you kind of visit these same places. Like they have a same feel or a same look or a same
Mhm.
kind of like color or something. And so it's more about the place than it is the activity.
Hmm.
Because like if you wanna gain certain kinds of information or certain kinds of guidance from intelligences, you have to be able to go to the right place, if that makes
Okay.
sense.
Kind of. I will explore and report back.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're so
And you swipe left to indicate no.
yeah.
I looked it up.
Did you really?
Yeah, I know.
Swipe left. Yeah.
And then go ahead, Lolly, the header.
Hey, hey.
Hey, let's see, so many things. The weekend was amazing. Thank you. It's one of these things I don't even really understand what happened. Like I can't say,
Yeah.
oh,
No,
we
yeah, yeah,
work
yeah.
on something
Yeah.
specific.
Yeah.
Just the
It is
overall.
so far away from like how we talk about like symptoms and like that kind of stuff. It's so far away from that. Yeah.
Yeah, it felt just like
Yeah.
some kind of a shift that I can't really
Yeah.
explain.
Yeah. I would say it was more like we went on a tour of the inner world. You know what I mean? Like over there, that's this, and over there, it's a lot more like that.
So, yeah, I can totally relate to that part.
Yeah.
It was so amazing, and each time I'm like, wait, which part of the protocol are we doing right now?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it felt very different after the weekend, which again I can't really
Mhm.
explain, but just overall quiet and calmness and just
Like I will say, like working, here we just did the moon, but working the different aspects of the planets like that. Um, for one, it's a very accelerated process for developing, especially developing intuition and being able to access intuition. But there's kinds of peace that you can achieve by working those different kinds of aspects of the planets that I'm not aware of being able to achieve them any other way. And in like Buddhism, there are these different things that we like cultivate. One's associated with the elements, one's with the planets, one's with the directions, and each one of them, they're very different than each other. Like they all bring this kind of peace or this kind of insight or something, but they're very, very, very different from each other. Yeah.
thank you. And then we did the same blended one of them, the healing spirit of the moon. We did that for the healing spirit class. Would
Mhm.
you ever, if you were to work both classes, like what we did on the weekend and doing healing spirit, with that specific blend? So would you do healing spirit first and then, or you wouldn't do
Yeah,
that?
I mean, you can do the class, or the stuff out of the class, but like how we use the healing spirit in the class on the weekend, you can just do that. It's
Oh, I
very
see.
specific to that process.
Okay, so
Yeah.
instead of
I mean, that's
doing,
the reason I taught Healing Spirit way back when, was I knew we were going to come around and do, for one, it's a kind, the Healing Spirit oils are like a kind of psychotherapy,
Mhm.
but it's setting up a deeper practice with these aspects of the planets.
Okay. And yeah, and I saw that there's a 2.0, so I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
yeah.
Then a couple of follow-ups. So, my eyes and all of that situation, and we talked about doing some cleaning possibly for the liver.
Mhm.
So I've been doing the ECAC tonic a couple of times a day, and doing all the other oils that we talked about. And so what happened since Friday night and then Saturday, now much better, but my eyes got worse all of a sudden. My body was cleaning out stuff. My skin freaked out a little bit. Then I realized that the burdock is also a little bit of a diuretic, which maybe
The what? Say
explain
that last part again. The what?
the burdock.
The burdock.
Burdock. Okay.
So I guess it's a little bit of a diuretic because my bladder also wasn't happy. And then,
Mean you peed a lot or
yes,
frequency or?
like constantly had to go. And I did all the things like tea tree in case of UTI, which I knew it wasn't, urinary support. So I did with the process with that. And then Saturday night, things started shifting all of a sudden. And Sunday, I was much better. Even my eyes kind of cleared
Okay.
up.
Yeah.
Not, it went back to the way it was, but a little bit clearer, but
Okay.
still the issue. So I'm wondering, so I don't know. I don't know if it was because my body was detoxed.
Well, we think of like like the liver is toxic or but I would say that sometimes when you do like purification, like on a liver or like kidneys or something, there is you're detoxing it, you're releasing it, you're purifying it, but it's also doing a thing where it's shifting the nervous system. And so it will have an impact on homeostatic emotions. It will have an impact on agitation in the body. You can even like reduce stress and the stress response by treating something like that. Sometimes even treating that will shift emotion. But you know, the thing with the liver as well is it also will have an impact on hormones. There's all kinds of, a lot of times when we go through and do purification on the liver, there's a lot of accumulated like, estrogen and testosterone and things that are like just like have accumulated in the liver. And so when you go through and you do like a little bit of purification, it kind of hits the system. It usually passes pretty quickly, but you're flushing those accumulations out of the liver. And so, it's probably some form of that happened. But if those hormones stay stuck in the liver, it will manipulate the nervous system and how the body feels and how the liver functions. And, it does all kinds of things. And so that you had a weird day or two and then felt better, like something was releasing. My guess it was probably hormones, like accumulated hormones that just, got stuffed in liver tissue and
Mm-hmm. And it was interesting because it was a few different things together, and I was like, this is like really, really intense. And so you would still keep doing the tonic like a couple of times a day to just clean things up and
Yeah, I mean, you could also rotate it with other things for the liver, but I mean, that ECAC is a good way to detox. And so,
mm-hmm.
If it's worked a
Okay.
bit, just keep working it for a bit. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I was just like, it was really weird, but then it really shifted, and I was like, oh, this is like an interesting, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The good thing is that I actually did some blood tests last week, and I got the results today. And overall, my iron levels are better, still low, but it's better. Hormones are better, still need some work.
How was B12 and folic acid?
That was weird. My B12 is high, like super high.
Okay.
And she said she's like super high, and I have no idea why. She said she's not worried about it,
Okay.
but I don't know why I have like over, I have like a 1500. I'm like, why is my like over 1,000? So
And folic acid was okay?
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And then from that, cultivating the mystic heart, keep working the basal ganglia out of that.
Yes, which I've been doing that.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. And I also figured the class we have this weekend is also going to be good to just work some more on the vagal tone.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because again, I think it goes back to like something deeper is going on. Because if these symptoms are not like, need to clear out more things than just the symptoms.
Yeah. You had a stressful stretch there for the last 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, whatever
Yeah.
it was.
So, but overall, at least there's improvement. So overall, oh, and my cholesterol is still high, but like it's a few points lower.
Like, where is it at? Where's it at?
200, 266.
266. Yeah, it is a little bit high.
Yeah. I'm still doing the blend.
Let's see how you do after this weekend with the vagal stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm excited about that. So thank you. And then another question is, I'm wondering about, we talk a lot about,
Because the thing with, even like here, we're talking about like detoxing or something when we're trying to treat an area that, like, if the vagal tone and that, this is what we're kind of exploring on the weekend. Like if like in general, vagal tone's kind of okay, but if we have areas where vagal tone is not very good, that the processes of whatever that anatomy is not usually, the physiology isn't usually very good. And so even when you go through and you treat it, it's like, yeah, it has a little bit of something, but it's not reacting. Like the thing that I always step back and go, there's a vagal tone issue somewhere. Like something's going on. There's poor vagal tone in the liver and, something. And so, how we've done the healing classes where we did the respiratory and digestive and urinary tract. And this weekend is the doing that, but with vagal tone, like going through the inner ear, going through the vocal cords, going through the respiratory tract and different pieces of the respiratory tract and, emotions and hormones. And, we're throwing out a search grid and we're looking for all the stragglers that try to get away. And so I suspect that probably the vagal tone of your liver is probably not the greatest.
Yeah, and I saw that there was a blend for that as well, and then I kind of started with the thought process, and I figured that might have been okay.
Yeah, but like, so
specific
you
thing.
can use single oils for that too, like for vagal tone. Greenland moss improves vagal tone of the liver, goldenrod and guava, the guava leaf.
Okay.
Yeah.
All of these that I don't have, so I can always just get.
All the three of those make up the liver vagal tone.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Mm.
But yeah, and I'll see how, so the weekend would be interesting to see how all of a sudden things are kind of, to see what's really shifting. And yeah, I'll probably end up just getting the blend. So thank you. And then just one question. We talk a lot about the pineal gland and, all the processes around that. When we talk about the actual physical thing, because there's the pineal gland that you can even see in like x-rays. when there's an X-ray with the pineal gland calcification. So you
With the what?
see calcification of the pineal
Uh-huh.
gland. What does that, how does that play into, how does that play into things, into what we're doing, into,
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about it.
okay,
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't put I hear some people do it. That's never been my experience. It might cause some things with like circadian rhythms and things like that, but I would say some of that is, you know, kind of what happens with the pineal gland itself, but we're really working the mental permanent seed. And so the focus is more that. It's just the location is the pineal. So it doesn't necessarily impact the that area quite like that.
okay. I
Yeah.
had a feeling, but I was like, let's just double check and kind of, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And then just,
That's been
yeah,
esoteric gossip for like a couple of decades, but yeah.
okay, good to know. So thank you.
Yeah.
Um, and then also going back to the question that Barbara asked about lucid dreamings,
Mhm.
even if I'm going to like regular, just to remember my dreams better, I've been working with Blue Lotus, which even the last few days I've had so much going on in my dreams. Like it feels so different. Um,
Mhm.
so specifically even for Blue Lotus, would you work somebody who hasn't done the work that we're doing, but is somewhat, intuitive and has, you know, processes a lot in their dreams. Would you also work with something like Blue Lotus? Like, or is it something that you would?
I would,
Okay.
regardless if it's a newbie or, because even like a new person, they're going to have experiences beyond their normal perception that will be significant for them. But maybe for, somebody who's been doing a lot, it would be no big deal. But for them, it's a big deal. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's more about helping them with their process wherever they're at. It doesn't matter that they're advanced or not. It's just like the process, like engage the process. Like,
Okay.
it's more about that. And so you can always go deeper into the process, regardless of how long you've been doing it and things. And so the blue lotus can be helpful, definitely. I would say, there's different kinds of ways of I'm trying to say it in a way that when we touch that mental permanent atom, a lot of different things could happen. And that's the best way to say it. Because, the idea of like, oh, we stimulate it or we do this is not really accurate. I mean, it's like I think we all get the idea of, oh, we're going to the mental atom but it's not really the most accurate. The your ability to on one level, you're going beyond the senses and when you start to get into some really good, juicy, deep, lucid, like I'll say lucid dreaming slash lucid perceiving, you really have the potential of going outside of your mind. You know what I mean? Like you kind of can have moments where you transcend the mental body. Just like how you said
Mm-hmm.
you do a meditation, your heart, crown, and you bless, and you have an expansion. That's one kind of like, you're having a transcending moment, and then you kind of come back in your body. And so, at first it might be physical and then it might be emotional, but the deeper and the more subtle is mental. And to be able to have moments where you see outside the mind, you really have to have the intuitive part, because you have to be able to go beyond the senses. But when you go kind of beyond the mind for a moment, um, Blue Lotus is really good for helping you to be able to access that. It's really good for it. Other things with the blue pearl or the mental permanent atom, they do other things, but like that particular component is kind of a big deal. Because if you think about, like, okay, what's the point of working on planets? Like, you're working on the planetary energies, right? Part of it is it's helping you get outside of your mind. Your being on Earth, there's a kind of gravity, with Earth. It makes you feel a certain way, it makes you think a certain way, makes you have certain thought processes, and makes you think of the struggles of life. And, you're tied or associated with the aspect of God that's specifically about the Earth, the planetary logos, which is good. Like, I'm saying that's a good thing. I'm not saying, but like when you think of, like, okay, we're working on the moon and we're working on, Jupiter, and we're working on Venus, and we're working on Mercury, and we're working on these things, there is a planetary logos or an aspect of God associated with that. Like with Mercury, with Jupiter, with so each part of that. And so you're focusing on the planet, which is a form, to have a kind of expansion in that area. Just like how we go, okay, into the body. I feel something in my body and I watch and I observe it, and I start to expand. And then it's like, oh, I feel my emotions. Oh, I go to a situation. Well, at some point you go, okay, I'm seeing these subtle phenomenon in my inner world, in my intuitive mind, or in my sleep. And then you sit with that and there's expansion. So that is good. But then an even greater level of that is go, okay, if I sit and perceive this aspect of this planet, it pulls you out of your mind a little bit, just like how with meditation on the heart and crown, your blessing, you have a certain kind of expansion. It's a deeper kind of expansion. It's in the same vein of that, but in ways that just the heart and crown can't touch. You know what I mean? And so you have these like little moments where you have these inner awarenesses, but then you come back into your normal everyday body. It makes you see the world in a very different way, a very different way. You have way more depth perception, and the things that used to be upsetting, instead of being like under the microscope, they're like binoculars that you're looking at from way far away. Like it changes your perspectives of things. I mean, even if you just sit and meditate on space, like we were watching, what was it about that
Interstellar.
interstellar, like,
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't an asteroid, it came from, outside the solar system, and it just passed through. And I was just sitting and observing, and what was it, like 20 minutes? It wasn't even very long. And then I started thinking about the things that I read in the news earlier today, and I was like, what a different perspective of just sitting there and looking at that object for 15, 20 minutes. The things happening in the news seems like little fights with hands. Like the hands are fighting over a piece of food or something. And it changes your perspective dramatically. And at first it'll float away, but eventually it starts to stay. Yeah.
Thank you. And then really with the Blue Lotus, actually, I've been doing, inhalations before bed. But probably I haven't actually taken the tincture in a while. I'm not sure why. I should probably
Yeah,
add
you don't
that
have to
as
be
well.
taking it every time, but you know, um, like in like old practices, like in ancient practices, they would talk about a magic carpet. You know what I mean? Have you ever heard those stories about like,
Mm-hmm,
somebody riding a magic carpet or this or that? And a
mm-hmm,
magic carpet isn't, somebody gets on a carpet and starts like surfing through the air. It's basically, it's like kind of like how you would treat your altar or a mat that you would sit on. And when it's been charged with enough spiritual energy, it helps blast you out of the mind. It helps get you outside of the mind.
mm-hmm.
And it's just like how you would do a shawl or a
Yeah.
cap but this is something that you sit on and or an altar that you have in front of you.
Mm-hmm,
And part of that is to be able to access things outside of your normal everyday mind. I mean, that's the whole point of that.
mm-hmm,
I mean, I don't know, magic carpet always makes it kind of seem like there's some sort of little, fantasy or magic or a little drama or something when it's really just your ability to expand out of the mind to a much greater degree.
mm-hmm,
And um, one of the ways to enhance that process is you burn lotus, you ingest lotus, you inhale lotus. Like it's all a lot of lotus oriented practices, like with that.
mm-hmm.
It could be like a blanket, it could be a little rug, it could be anything, like a shawl that you just sit on from time to time,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
So just enhance that more. Okay. Thank you. And
So
by the
you
way,
use your lotus, like I get what I'm getting to is a long-winded way. Use the lotus for that,
yeah.
like getting outside of your mind.
Mm-hmm,
I'd say therapeutically, if you're looking at it like how can I treat something? If you think of like you're being weighed down by normal everyday life, you're the details of life, like all the details of this week, all the details of the work, all the details of and you're just being weighed down. You got to be able to get out of that. It
mm-hmm,
doesn't mean that they go away, but you need to not be able to be so weighed down or fixated on them or entangled with it. And Lotus will get you out of that and make you feel calm and peaceful. Right.
mm-hmm.
So therapeutically, you can use it. I don't want to say like stress management, but what I say to myself, I kind of make this joke with Samantha. I go, it's not stress management, it's drama management. You know what I mean? Like I take it when I'm like feeling a little things are just starting to be like it's making me obsess about them a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I got to be able to do something and be able to let it go and not get so entangled. Lotus
Yeah.
is very good for that. Very,
Mm-hmm.
very good for that. But on a deeper level, when you're trying to do like ceremony or meditation, it really brings you
Mm-hmm.
out of the mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you. And by the way, all the meditations that we've been doing recently with the Blue Pearl, I've been doing, work with the Blue Pearl for a while and different meditations, but never like the experience on the meditations that we've been doing is so much deeper and so
Yeah.
much
It's
easier
it's
to go
softer.
deeper.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it
It's
doesn't
softer.
feel
Yeah.
it gets deeper and it doesn't feel like overwhelming,
Right.
but it goes deeper. Like it's not,
Yeah.
oh, nothing happened. It's
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, perfect. Thank you so much.
You're still welcome.
And then go ahead, Heather, then Troy.
Hey, Heather.
You should be able to just unmute yourself. There you go.
Yes, it takes me a minute. Okay, hello. I wanted to get back with you after trying my dog and his death breath, the basil in his food. I would say,
Oh yeah, yeah.
yeah, okay, there's an improvement, but I didn't know if there was anything else to do because you did say you can kind of check back in. I mean, yeah, it's making some difference, but
So
is there
how much of
anything more we can throw at it?
yeah, how much of an improvement has it been?
I noticed it, well, I wouldn't call it death breath anymore. So it's bad breath. But from what I noticed was the first few meals, like maybe the first 2 days, it got remarkably better and then kind of leveled off.
Okay. Let me just look at it for a minute. What kind of dog is it, by the way?
It's an old English bulldog.
Oh, yes. Okay.
It's not the short little guy, but bigger.
Right, right.
90 pounds. Black. Beige.
Let me just check a safety thing real quick.
Sure. Thank you.
I I would start rotating the basil with German chamomile. And it can be the oil, it could be a tincture from the health food store, like, if you want to just get something from, or a capsule or something from the health food
Mm-hmm.
store. I would rotate them. And the thing being, so for one, the German chamomile is very anti-inflammatory. And so, we'll go through
Okay.
and deal with that. We reduce spasms and things like that. But the thing that's nice about German chamomile is it it will it will clean up metabolic waste. And so if there
Okay.
was some sort of low grade infection or there was an imbalance and the bacterias or something like that, um, the basil for the dog should be helping that. But like you said, it's better, but it's not great. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I would still use some basil. You don't necessarily have to use it every day. I'd say probably at this point, like I'd maybe do every other day, but like in that off day, I think I would work in German chamomile.
Okay. I will
You
give it a
know,
try.
I like the idea for one. It will be soothing. It'll be calming to the dog. It will reduce tension in the gut. It will reduce inflammation in the gut, and depending on how well it works, Like if it works really, really well, it means that the dog had some sort of infection at some point. And that's even the infection
Mm-hmm.
could be gone, but the effect is still there. And you know, like the aftermath. And so you know, I don't know that that means that anything needs to be done, but it kind of tells us why that happened. If it's just moderate or whatever, still very good. You know, it reduces the spasms, again, inflammation, you know, cleans things up metabolically.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, we can kind of assess after a week or two and see how that goes. But that would be my next step.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah, I will give that a try. Yeah, and thank you. Uh, A while back, oh, over a year ago, I'd asked also about the sauna, since I have that fired up and running now for different oils to use. And you did say kind of to go easy,
Yeah.
but
I've made
what
myself
I'm
throw up
doing
doing that. Like I put charcoal root
really,
cleanser in and went into like a wet sauna and yay. You know, because it just made the body expel so hard so fast. So I would say, you know, you could do something just very soft and gentle, and then afterwards you could work it. I don't know if you're using a wet sauna or a dry sauna, but
the- oh, there you are. I totally lost you for a minute. You went in with chakra root cleanser, you said?
I put charcoal root cleanser on before I went into a wet sauna, and it
Oh,
was not a very pleasant experience. I thought I was being all
oh
cool and
no.
super smart, and like dry saunas don't seem to be as intense like with that. But you know, it's the thing like how like a hot bath is, it is opening up all the pores, and so you're going to be much more sensitive to something that you put on going into the heat. And so I would say just very minimal or do it like after the fact.
Yeah,
Mm.
gotcha. Yeah, what did I have recently? And I don't know if it's a good choice or if you can suggest something smarter. I think I did the Eucalyptus citriodora, even like
Oh
the
yeah, that would
lemon
be
tea
great.
tree, but
Yeah.
I
The
didn't even know if that was
Citrodora,
wise
especially
choices.
for yeah, especially for inflammation and things, that was great.
Okay. Then yeah, I'll use that a little bit more. It smells like citronella mostly.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. The Citrodora is because it has a little bit of similar chemistry in it, you know, or a
Mm,
couple little molecules.
mm-hmm. No, but it still is nice. And it doesn't seem to
Mm.
be very strong. So that's kind of why I was asking. Is there
Yeah,
something else?
it's
Maybe I should
very
kick it up a little bit, but
yeah,
maybe
very
maybe I
gentle.
shouldn't.
You could go crazy with it. Yeah, you could totally go crazy with it.
What about like tarragon? Is that a
For
little,
the sauna or just in
yeah, is
general?
that a little too wild?
No, I would probably do it after.
Okay.
Yeah, just
All right.
because the tarragon can be a little sensitizing on the skin already. And then if you go in with the heat, it might make it a little too much.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. I'll keep just going simple then. Keeping it
Yeah, keep
light.
it real simple. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's all I can think of for now. I'm
Okay.
sure I'll have
Keep me
more and let
posted.
you know about the dog. Yeah, thank you very
Yeah.
much, Greg.
You're
I
so welcome.
appreciate it.
And then go ahead, Troy, and we have chat questions as well.
Hey, Troy.
Hey y'all, how are y'all?
Doing good. How about you?
Okay, so I have a question about a very interesting experience that I had this afternoon.
Hmm.
I don't know if it has anything to do with class or residuals or after effects from class or not. I know my crown has been super open the last couple of days, but I was here at home and I had, I don't know, 5 to 10 minutes where I felt like I was in two places at once. Like I felt like I was in my house here, present, and also at my folks' place from growing up. And I like couldn't clearly see or really feel any differences. And it was really trippy and kind of weirded me out for a minute. But I got through it and everything, but it was really bizarre. And I just wanted some. I know this is not an oils question, but um, do you have any takes on that? On
Yeah, oh
what
yeah, totally.
happened?
Yeah, totally. I would say it probably is the byproduct of the weekend. That class helped to open up going beyond the senses, deeper into the intuitive mind. So there's all kinds of things that can happen there. I would say, like feeling that you're in two places at once is you beginning to, even to a deeper degree, experiencing beyond the senses. And so it does feel a lot like having a foot in two different worlds, like you have the normal everyday, and then you have this other part. And then sometimes, especially when uh, you could say it was the past, but I would say it's more about the place that where you experience the past, like not the place externally, but the place inside you. And I would say that something is probably in the process of like healing, being resolved, being released, something of that nature. It's like intuition will seek out things that like being like resolving them is not the best way, is that it just needs to be processed or let go or disentangled or something. And so it will start seeking things out. And it's more about the time and the place of where that was more than anything. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess so.
I would say the good thing is you don't have to figure anything out.
Okay.
If I was going to bottom line it, is I would say, one of the things that, you would do like for deeper healing or like in ceremony is you don't really think about the events. You kind of think of like that feeling or that place, like, okay, I was out in the field and there was all those trees and it has this kind of color to it. And, like you kind of almost like bring yourself back there. Be- because sometimes it's healing something, but sometimes like you can go back to places like that and there's information that you've left on the table. You know what I mean?
I
Like our
think
mind
so.
goes,
Do you
oh,
think?
like this happened and that happened. But when you go back there, it's like so many other things happened, but I didn't register, I didn't process it. So you go back to that space, you can kind of be in that space and you'll kind of process things that are like in the unconscious. It's like if you give like a picture to a like a really good clairvoyant, they'll look at the picture, but the picture is almost like a keyhole. Like, it like it kind of gets you through this little portal. And then once you're there, you can start like looking around at the different things that are there that are not apparent in the picture, but the picture takes you to that place. And then you can kind of, oh, look, oh, like you can even see things in like different time frames, and so for you, you're going to I say place, but it's like time slash place, but it's more a place than it is a time. Um, and sometimes we leave parts of ourselves there. Sometimes it's a piece of information. Sometimes it had to do with some sort of interaction with a person or an event, or you know, if you can get yourself back to that place, which might just happen in your dreams. But if you can recall it and then, sit and meditating and like kind of go to that place, like recall the feeling and the atmosphere and everything, your mind, your intuitive mind will heal things in a way that will blow your mind. That's what I would say about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it sounds like it's already kind of happening, but
Me and my brother and I are in the process of we're about to sell that house, and that house was built right before I was born, and then my folks lived there, my whole life, so like 40 something years, and now we're about to sell it, and I have this like feeling of like someone's gonna either gut it or just demo it, and that
oh, they'll
there's
probably got it. Like that's a very common thing when people buy houses. That's a
yeah.
very common thing.
Well, I had this feeling like I afterwards when I started to calm down from it, like it'd be good for me to do it now sooner than later, like before much more changes like physically. Is that true or is it not
Yeah,
necessary?
I would say it's probably not so much about the house now, but like back when you were young.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter what they do to the house.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's more about going inward and going to that place that was the house. Yeah.
Okay. So things won't be like
No,
more or less
no,
accessible. Okay.
no, no.
Okay.
Yeah. And the sixth aspect of the moon would be really good for you from the weekend.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll do that. Okay. Great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Give me just a second. Yeah, sorry about that. I'm back.
And then go ahead, Denise, then Troy.
Yeah.
Hi, I wanted to ask if you could recommend something for a pretty bad headache I've had all day.
What part of your head?
I want to say it affected like the base, my neck, the
Like on
base
the
of my
back?
skull. Yeah. And then my sinuses too a bit. I must have slept scrunched up or something. I don't know what I did, but it's been pretty bad.
Like in the sinus pain is like around the eye,
No, underneath. I want to say more underneath.
like in here,
Uh-huh. And the jaws, here in the jaws
in
and
the
in the
jaws.
base of my neck. And
Okay.
thank you.
Has there been stressful things going on?
Yeah. Um, I'd say energetically, I felt really a lot of stress this
Okay.
last.
Okay. So I would do a couple things. That headache at the base of the skull is a thing called occipital neuralgia. And so it's basically like the nerves back there get a little bit inflamed. And it can be like it's almost like a migraine, but at the base of your skull. Like
Mhm.
migraine means one side of the head. And so it's not truly a migraine, but it's nerve pain at the base of the skull. And so I would use vetiver on the base of the skull. And then also on this area where the shoulder and neck kind of come together. But the other big thing is deepen the breath, slow down the breath. Your bronchioles are a bit like constricted and your diaphragm's wound up pretty tight. And so I would do the vetiver stuff, but then like larch or like hyssop, anula, German chamomile, myrtle, green myrtle, something like that. It's a winding up the jaw as well. I suspect that this pain here, it could be the sinuses, but I suspect it's part of your trigeminal nerves.
Okay.
You have a little bit of neuralgia there as well.
Yeah, it feels like
Yeah.
sometimes definitely.
Yeah, it looks like you have trigeminal nerves here, here, and then down here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so a lot of times when people complained of like sinus pain, it's actually the neck and radiating pain up. But then, and it can be sinus pain, but then a lot of times what people call sinus pain is trigeminal neuralgia.
And,
The nerves in your face are inflamed.
and what do I do for that, Greg?
It's still the same thing.
The vetiver and
Yeah, the vetiver should help. Vetiver and deepening your breath. Like your breath and your bronchioles and your diaphragm look really wound up. That's why I was like, is there stress going on? Could be unconscious. You think there's somebody stressing out or upset at you?
possibly. Possibly.
Yeah, maybe do it with hyssop. Hyssop
Yes.
would keep you from absorbing things from other people. Yeah, maybe even sprinkle on chakra root cleanser on your body a little bit.
Oh, this is wonderful. Thank you. And
Yeah.
of course, a little marjoram never hurts, right?
Little marjoram never hurts.
It never hurts.
No. I would say even with the chakra root cleanser, inhale it with your awareness on your spine, just to kind of keep flushing things out of your spine.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
And the focus on the spine, right?
Yeah, I would still focus on the lungs and the diaphragm and the solar plexus, back solar plexus, even the jaws a bit, but definitely hit the spine as well.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
You're
you.
so welcome. So welcome.
I'm very grateful for
Yeah. And keep rubbing the vetiver up. Like I used to have those headaches all the time, and vetiver like made them completely go away. It took a while. Like I had to treat it for several months, but I mean, I was having it like 2 or 3 times a week.
I looked at, for some reason, the difficult times, like the roller. Would that be a good one for me to order? I think it definitely has vetiver in it.
For this, I would use vetiver on those areas. The difficult times might be helpful, but I think if you can unwind that and unwind the bronchioles and the diaphragm, you'll be in a better place.
Thank
Are you
you.
going to do the class on the weekend?
I am. Yes,
Yeah,
I
between that and the weekend, you're probably going to be good.
am. Many, many thanks.
Yeah, like the weekend is going to be a big stress unwind. Yeah, big stress unwind. Yeah.
Would free me up a lot. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
And then go ahead, Troy and Letty, if we have time.
Hey, Greg, I forgot, I was gonna chime in to say, I can't remember what you called it, the resistances of the intellect, or maybe you're talking to Barbara.
Oh yeah, the defenses, like the
Defenses.
defenses. Yeah.
I'd be super interested in that.
Okay. Like maybe we'll put it out to I don't know how we'll figure something out.
Awesome. Thanks so
We'll
much.
give it a nicer name.
Yeah, like part of it is like I haven't even tried to come up with like a nicer name for like, it just is what it is, but yeah. So
Awesome.
okay.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're so welcome.
And go ahead, Letty.
Hey, Letty.
Hi, Greg. Hi, Sam. First of all, thank you so much for my guardian angel oil. Smells delicious.
Oh, good.
Thank you. Greg, a couple of things. I know if we run out of time, maybe we can just email me, but really, just wanted to see if you have any suggestions for spraying the classrooms. We started summer ESY, and it's the summer program for special needs, and I've been coming home exhausted. It's not even funny. I think it's just all the energies. So that I have that question. Then my other question really quick, because I know we're running out of time, is any suggestions for my friend who just feels defeated? She just feels like they keep overlooking her. She's still not been able to move up. She's an assistant principal. She wants to move up to the next level. And I think I did a healing on her. Didn't seem like it helped. So I'm kind of lost what I need to do with her.
Yeah, sometimes something like that has to be treated kind of consistently for a while. Like a one-time thing won't necessarily shift or change something.
Yeah, because I cleaned her
Um,
front, back, solar plexus. I just did a
Yeah,
basic cleaning, and
yeah,
she was still like crying today. She's just very
Mhm.
disappointed at our district on how they just keep passing her up.
Yeah. For the space, camphor. Use camphor.
Okay.
For her, would she do the materialization breath?
Yeah, I was telling her to do it with root, but I'm not sure if that's gonna help
Have
her
her
right
do
now
it with galbanum. Galbanum.
with Galbanum. Okay, I'll let her know. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Even a little galbanum on her feet.
On her feet?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you so much. Love you
Yes.
guys.
Love you too. So we're going to move over to the Tuesday night prayer petition blessing. Thanks for hanging out with us. And tomorrow night we are not doing our normal Astara or the study group. We'll be traveling, and so this next weekend is a free weekend. Hopefully, we see you there. We're doing a super deep dive on vagal tone in ways that we haven't done it before. And it's a way of like diagnosing and treating both at the same time. And yeah, join us if you can. It's going to be very thorough, a very good unwinding weekend. And I think that's it. Anything else?
If we didn't get to your questions in the chat, please feel free to email us at info@plantpranaoils.com, and we'll answer your email, your question that way.